Mitchell Carson is suing the mother of his child, Michelle Harris, and her husband, Todd Harris, for the return of attorney fees for a failed adoption.
Mr. Carson, you and Mrs. Harris have a child together. How
Correct,
old
ma'am.
is that child?
He's 8 years old, ma'am.
Did you ever live with him?
No.
This is your claim. The mother of your child, Miss Harris, is married to Mr. Harris. They've been married for how long?
3 years, Your Honor.
Do you have any children other than this child?
Yes, 2.
Your former girlfriend, you weren't married,
No.
is that right? And you spoke about the possibility of her husband adopting your son. And you thought about it for a while. Ultimately, you agreed that that might be a good idea. And you went ahead and hired a lawyer.
She hired the lawyer. She has to petition the lawyer.
You paid for the lawyer?
I did, because they said that they couldn't afford it.
She subsequently changed her mind.
Correct.
About the adoption, and you want that money back.
Correct.
Why did you change your mind about the adoption?
We never did change our mind, Your Honor. We simply moved out of the area. I had been searching for work for a good 4 years and couldn't find anything but maybe temp work or part-time. We couldn't afford to take care of our children, so we started looking elsewhere for work, and Oregon had a great rate of employment, higher wages, lower cost of living, so we decided to move there and then pursue the adoption when we got settled.
Mr. Carson, when was the last time you saw your son?
I believe it was about 3 years ago.
Why?
We just had such a lack of communication together, and she lived about 100 miles away, and it just made it real difficult for us to communicate together. And that was probably a lot of my fault, because I should have remained involved. Okay. But that's why the end result was the adoption.
Mr. Carson, when was the last time you supported your son?
I pay child support every month.
How much do you pay?
I pay $400 a month.
Is he up to date in his child support?
I think he's a little bit behind, but not much.
I believe him when he says he pays child support. So you're not able to use this lawyer?
Correct. What it ended up happening was I paid for the attorney, and then they sent me some documents, which I signed. It was just simple, one form that I had to sign to my release of interest, or whatever you'd like to call it.
Termination of parental rights.
Correct. And then it was on her. And about 6 months later or so, I contacted her attorney, and her attorney had said at that point she hadn't spoken with her, had no contact with her at all, and actually at that moment said, you know, I don't even think she's going to do this. Which is fine. If she doesn't want to do the adoption, I mean, I'm completely capable and okay with paying child support, you know, until he's 18 years old. But when she came to me with the idea of doing the adoption and I agreed to it, I thought in good faith, when she said they couldn't afford it, that I paid for it, that they would go through with it. And then I called her and asked her why she wasn't doing it. It was at that point that she said it was because, you know, financially they couldn't do it.
So they needed your child support to help support the household?
Sure. Correct. And also at that point, I had contacted Michelle to find out what was going on, and then she told me she was moving. According to our document, she has to give me 30 days written notice of moving. I had no idea she was going to move until I contacted her to ask her what was happening.
Well, that may be written into your contract. However, since you haven't seen your son in 3 years, it really doesn't make much difference. Mr. Harris, are you working now?
No, not at the present time.
Are you working now?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
For whom?
I work for a company that deals with clinical technology services for
How much
a
do you
hospital.
earn?
$15.25 an hour, and I support all 5 of us.
No, you don't support all 5 of you. He helps support all. When was the last time your husband worked full-time?
I
And
would
where?
say it was for a landscaping company in Olympia, and it was a year and a half, 2 years ago.
We're not sure of the exact date.
Well, she says it's a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Yeah, it's a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Well, that's ridiculous. It's
Why?
ridiculous.
Why is that ridiculous?
It's ridiculous not to work when you have 2 children. When did you move?
We moved in March of '06.
So you moved from, just a minute, so you moved from one place where he can't get a job for a year to another place, and now he's still not working.
No,
Doesn't that
no,
clue?
that's not exactly correct. I worked for a company in Portland as a steam cleaner. I did that for 2.5 months. I also worked doing mill shutdowns for a temporary job. It's not like I haven't worked.
So I'm glad you're working. I'm glad everything is wonderful with you. The strong probability exists that they're not going to let you off the hook so fast.
Ma'am, can I add something, please?
Yeah.
The reason why they told me why he's having a hard time finding work and why they couldn't do the adoption is because when they moved to Portland, Michelle told me that he had a warrant out for his arrest. She told me that's what kept us from going into court. Her attorney told me that when they moved to
Just
Portland...
a second. Well, that's very easy to
Am I in
figure
jail?
out. Shh. Turn around. What was the warrant for, Miss Harris? I didn't speak to you. I didn't speak to you. I said, what was the warrant for, Mrs. Harris?
His warrant was for parole violation from 1996.
When did you know about his parole violation?
We didn't know about it until we moved to Oregon. However, we discussed past legal issues with the attorney, and she said that that shouldn't make a difference Also, just to clarify, we had no agreement with him to pay him back.
Well, but no, just a second. But you had an agreement to pursue the adoption.
Correct.
That's your agreement.
I didn't.
And
You wanted my son.
No, just Mr. Carson. Mr. Carson.
Sorry, ma'am.
I'm just saying, Your Honor, at no time had I talked to Mitch about the adoption.
Then you can sit down. Because you're not working anyway. She's working. She'll pay. Sit down. Sit down. You had an agreement with him that in exchange for giving up his parental rights, your husband would assume the parental responsibility, which includes support. And what happened was it became very secondary in your mind with all the other trouble that you have. You have now 3 children in your house. You're working at $15 an hour. Not great. But you can't do that. If he's giving you the money to pay for the lawyer, which he did, because you agreed to pursue this matter and then change your mind, in my mind, you've breached an agreement with him.
We never made an agreement to...
Just a second. That's why you're here.
We never said we wouldn't do the adoption, Your Honor. Circumstances
Then when you... Listen to me. When you move back to the jurisdiction where he can use the lawyer that he paid for, you could sue him for the money. Right now, you're going to pay for the lawyer. How much was it?
The total amount that we ended up paying the attorney was $1,062, ma'am.
We weren't living off of his child support. We honestly wanted to do the adoption.
Well,
and
listen
when we
to me, Miss Harris. You've been married once?
Twice. This is my second marriage.
You weren't married to him so that you had, I would consider, 3 relationships. 2 marriages, 1 relationship. Is that fair? You have 3 children?
Yes.
How old are you?
I am 34.
The likelihood of this man celebrating your 25th wedding anniversary is 0. So that, as far as I'm concerned, it would be very unwise for him to adopt this child. Judge him for the plaintiff for the amount of $1,062.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Lisa Pelisek says former live-in boyfriend Franz Zygmuntovich owes for several items she purchased for his home.
Ms. Pelisek, the defendant and you were involved in a relationship. You lived together in his home for a period of time. You claim that while you were there, you purchased some furniture for the home, put it on your credit card. The relationship didn't work out. You moved out. He kept the furniture. You're paying the bill. You want that credit card paid. Now, you have the furniture, right?
Yes.
And you're not paying the bill.
I did pay some of it.
But you're not paying it now.
No.
And you say that's all right because?
Well, Your Honor, there's a lot more to it than just the furniture issue.
You're also counterclaiming because you say she owes you for half the mortgage payment while she was living there.
Yes.
That's a lot of baloney.
No, Your Honor. The way this all began was last year. My sister had reintroduced us at a birthday party I had. My sister.
I don't need all that information, sir.
We got together. She was married at the time. All of a sudden, she decides she's not happy with him. She wants to get out. Originally, we were looking for a place for her to live somewhere nearby me. At the time, she calls me and says, you know what, why don't I just move in with you? I'll stay there. That's all good. She moves in, proceeds that she wants to get this, get that, get this, get that. Well, I already had my house established. I'd been living there for over a year, almost 2 years. I had all this stuff purchased for my home. She didn't like the bedroom set. She went and sold that, kept the money on that, bought a new bedroom set. She wanted blinds,
just
stuff.
Just a second. Let's get over this counterclaim first, because when I said that's a lot of baloney, I meant that's a lot of baloney. Because nowhere in your discussion with me, sir, did you say that when she moved in, she agreed to pay half your mortgage.
Oh, I forgot to mention it. She was getting...
Listen, if you start out with a fib, I don't believe what you say.
Well,
do you understand?
I didn't give you the whole... You didn't let me finish.
Go ahead.
Okay. Part of the thing was she was getting money from her husband, plus unemployment. She said she was going to help me out with stuff. I was also buying on my credit card items, tickets, concerts.
I'm talking about rent. Let's get rid of the rent.
Okay.
You have a counterclaim for rent.
Yes.
I said to you that was a lot of baloney. You want to address the rent, sir.
Okay.
So far I've heard she was getting alimony from her husband. She was getting unemployment. She said she would help you out.
Well, part of the deal was she...
No, look at me.
Okay. Part of the deal was she was getting money. She said she was looking for a job and was going to help me out. If she's suing me for everything, then she never helped me out with anything.
That's not a contract to pay half your mortgage.
I never made a contract to pay her credit card
Just
either.
a second. I'm talking about your counterclaim, sir.
Okay.
In order to have a landlord-tenant relationship, which is what you are suggesting to me, because that's what it was. You may have shared it. Don't look so unhappy, please. Don't give me the sad-looking face. It doesn't impress me at all. Okay, so, you know, put the smile on the face, or just, but this sad face doesn't go far. I have no heart. Do you understand? Perfect. When you form a landlord and tenant relationship, even with somebody with whom you are sharing a bed, there has to be an agreement to pay a finite amount, so much per month, first of each month.
Okay.
There was never any agreement for that.
Yes.
Now, I knew that when I read your papers.
Okay.
You were trying to convince me there was. All I'm saying to you is, I don't believe that there was ever any agreement to have a landlord and tenant relationship with the plaintiff.
No.
So your counterclaim's dismissed.
Okay.
If, however, what you're telling... Get the sad face off, please. If what you're telling me is that when she moved in with you and you were sharing a home, your bedroom, sharing your bed, she said, I don't like this bedroom set. I want to get a different one. So she got rid of the old one.
Yes.
And she purchased a new one.
Yes.
And she kept the money from the one that she sold.
Yes.
Wouldn't you have been smarter to say to me at the beginning, no, we didn't have an agreement as far as rent is concerned? Because now I tend to doubt that, that she sold the bedroom set and kept the money. Is she going to tell me she kept the money?
If she's not lying.
Let's see. Did you keep the money when you sold the bedroom set?
I applied it to the Discover credit card. It was $450, and I made the payment on my credit card.
Now, why did you get a new bedroom set? Now, look at me.
Okay.
Why did
I just
you get
did
a new
not like
bedroom?
the looks of the old one.
You
and
didn't.
We were planning on going to get married, and I was going to live there the rest of my life. He told me that I can...
You bought him a present, a new bedroom set.
He told me
Forget
I
it.
can decorate his house any way I want, and it's not a problem, and he would pay any charges that I put on my credit card that went toward the house.
Really? And what were you paying? Don't look confused. It's a very easy question. You weren't paying any rent.
Right, nothing.
He was providing you with a roof over your head, telephone, gas, electric, water, all that other stuff. My question to you, madam, is your husband was supporting you, which must have irritated the hell out of him, because here he's supporting you and you're living with somebody else, and you were getting unemployment. What were you doing with your money?
I was just paying off my bills that I currently had. I had some credit cards and just miscellaneous bills, and whenever I took the children out to do activities.
Whose children?
I have a son, Zachary, and he has a daughter, Savannah, and we would just go out and do things with that money.
Okay, so you bought a bedroom set on your credit card. You kept the money from the bedroom set that you sold. What else did you buy?
There were just many, many household items, new kitchen sinks. There were shower curtains, shower rugs, window blinds, just miscellaneous home items, shelving units for the basement. But it all just really added up.
And over what period of time did you purchase these things?
From the time I actually officially moved in, which was July 16th, until September 15th.
Exclusive of the bedroom set, how much did you spend?
Exclusive of that, around $3,000.
And how much did you pay towards the expenses of the house?
Nothing.
Consider it rent. You live there with a child?
Yes.
You think you can get a place to live with your child for $1,000 a month?
No.
Including gas, electric, telephone, whatever other expenses there are? You can't. Just out of curiosity.
Right.
Why did you leave?
There were problems in the relationship that had developed.
I ran out of money is what it was, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Once I said I had no more... Once I had no more money, she decided to go off on her own. When I wouldn't give her cash, and she said, this isn't working out, I need to leave, and went back to her husband.
Is that where you are now?
Yes.
Oh, you have to pay this credit card, madam. It's your responsibility. You went out, you decorated. I can view this as your capital contribution to your own living expenses, yours and your child's, while you were living together. It's not unreasonable for him to assume that if you went out and bought shower curtains and some rugs for the bathroom, that you intended to do that because you were living there with your child, and that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to contribute. You're a grown-up lady. He's not supposed to take care of you. You're supposed to take care of yourself. Case is dismissed, as is your counterclaim, sir.
Thank you.
Damian Cecere says he helped friend Amy Brown with a loan to get started in a vitamin-selling business. Damian claims Amy has yet to pay him back.
Pronounce your last name for me.
Cecere.
Mr. Cecere, I want you to understand that I have some familiarity with the kind of business that you're in. Do you want to explain it to Bert, or would you like me to do it?
The nature of the business?
Yes.
Essentially, I have my friend Ronald here who has been in the business for 12 years, and he...
Ronald doesn't have to explain it.
Okay.
I'm going to, in very simplistic terms, explain it to Bert. You tell me if I'm wrong.
All right.
Simple. You have this vitamin bottle. because that's what they sell, vitamins. And Ronald, that's this guy over here, he's been in the business 12 years. He sometimes sells these vitamins. But what he does mostly is get other people under him who sell vitamins. And depending upon at what level they buy in, they could buy in with $500 or $1,000 or $2,000, they get product. He brings him in. Mr. Sincere over here buys $5,000 worth of product. He gets a piece of that.
Sure.
So it's like slavery, you know. What you do is he brings in, what's your first name?
Damien.
He brings in a lot of Damiens. Damien 1, Damien 2, Damien 3, Damien 4. And whatever Damien orders from the business, not sells, but orders from the business, Ronald gets a piece of.
Multi-level marketing.
Correct. Now, so then it inures to Damien 1 through 5. They say, listen, we want to be Ronald too.
Of course.
So we're going to see if we can get, what's your name?
Amy.
A whole bunch of Amy's under us to buy as much product as he can, because they get a piece of whatever Amy buys.
Of course.
And
him
they
too.
also, and so does Ronald.
That's right.
Because Ronald gets a smaller piece of Amy, but he still gets a piece of Amy. And then, what's your name?
Davey.
What's your name?
Cody.
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 I want to get a whole bunch of Codys because that's the way I'm going to make my money. And he's going to get a little piece of Cody, and he's going to get a smaller piece of Cody, but everybody's going to get a piece of Cody. That's the way the game works.
Oh, yeah.
Got it?
That's right.
Pretty much. Now, you also reach certain levels in this business, because if you're a master, or if you're a guru, or if you're a titan, or if you're an Ogatunji, whatever it is, what happens is they give you perks.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get perks in your business, like a car?
If you get high enough, you do.
Yeah.
I'm not there
yet.
yet.
You think this is a scheme that I haven't been through a couple of times in my life?
No, I didn't say that.
All right, I got it. So if you get up really high, if you get to be a Grandmaster Ungatunji, they give you a BMW.
Of course.
Or they give you a Mercedes. So there are advantages for Ronald to get a whole bunch of Damiens, and for Damiens to get a whole bunch of Amy's, and for Amy's to get a whole bunch of Cody's, because in addition to getting the money, you also get the perks. That's the drill. Now, Damien over here got Amy involved in the business, and she bought inventory. How much worth, sir?
It was worth $5,000.
What are you asking him for? The questions are going to get harder.
Oh, my. I think it was worth about $5,000, and he actually put up $3,300.
Okay, but you put up the money for her.
Yes, I did.
On your credit card.
Yes, I did.
Because you were hoping that she was going to do well in the business, and she wasn't such a good salesperson. And she couldn't find a Cody. If she killed herself, she couldn't find a Cody. So you ended up getting stiffed for your money.
Correct.
And she sent back some of her product.
Right, some of it.
But you want, because you're stuck with the bill now, because you're not a Grandmaster Ogatunji yet.
Right.
There isn't any such thing as a
there
Grandmaster
may be, I'm not that high up.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of made that up because it sounded funny. So you want her to pay you the money. Miss Brown says you gave her all kinds of sales pitch. You told her she was going to make a fortune, that there were Codys floating around under every rock, that she was going to be able to sell these vitamins, that they were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And she couldn't do it because she was no salesperson. And since you didn't help her, she sent back the product that she hadn't used. If you have the bill, that's your problem. Okay, we have certain things that we understand. We understand that he bought in for $3,300 and put it on his credit card. That is an agreed state of fact. It is also agreed that you agreed to pay him back that money for starting you in this business. This was going to be your business. You were going to be a grand female Ugatunja. Didn't work out. Wasn't your thing. So what did you do?
I asked for his help several times.
How did you do that?
Either phone conversations or via email.
And what did he say to you?
Usually it was, yeah, we need to get together and talk about this, which never happened. And after so many attempts, I just sent all the product back.
And what did he say?
He was fine with it as far as I knew. I told him I was going to do it, and he said he understood.
So, when did he decide to sue you?
I just was served about 2 weeks ago.
When was this that you sent back the product?
I believe it was May or June of 2006.
So why did you wait to sue her, sir? Is not an answer.
Okay. I wanted to work with Amy to give her an opportunity to pay back the remaining balance.
Well, had you asked her for it?
Of course.
How many times did you ask her for the balance?
Numerous. Both on the phone, and then when she started not returning my phone calls, our relationship was degraded. And I have in emails that she said she would indeed pay back the remaining balance.
Can I see it, please?
May I say something else, Your Honor?
Yes.
I absolutely did make every attempt to not only talk to Amy on the phone, but to get together with her, to involve her in opportunity meetings. Ronald also met her in Anaheim for a meeting. I feel like we put forth a very fair and aggressive effort to assist her with this.
It is clear to me that over the course of several months, you agreed to pay him.
And I agreed to make payments.
So why didn't you?
Because at the time I had lost my job, I was laid off, and I just bought my condo. And
you just bought your condo?
I just bought a condo, and then I was laid off, and then I was trying to get caught up with my other bills, which were a priority.
Well, then you acknowledge this debt to him.
A portion of it.
Well, which portion of it, madam?
I agreed to, okay, he had agreed to help me with.
Listen, we're beyond that. We had agreed to help you. Now I have emails where you clearly acknowledge the debt, which belies what you told me, that he breached his contract to help you, which is why you don't have to pay him. So now we know that you agreed to pay him. So I'm asking you why. Is it because you bought a condo?
No, the condo was prior to even meeting him.
Well, so what does that have to do with paying him back?
Well, no, I had been laid off, and that's when I met him, and he convinced me to do this so that I could make money. Then
it didn't work out, and you returned the product, and you still said, I'm going to pay you. So what stopped you?
Well, I didn't agree with the amounts that he was saying I owed him.
Well, how much do you say you owe him? That's where I started 5 minutes ago.
Okay, I believe I owe him maybe $1,000 just based on the portions of it that I was able to sell.
Well, how much did you sell?
Maybe a couple $100 worth to just...
Where are your records?
There's no record. I mean, you sell the container to people for cash.
What do you mean, you sell it for cash and then you don't report it to anybody? Not even the government? How do you expect to pay your taxes?
I don't know. This is something he was supposed to help me with.
He's not supposed to help you with that. This is your business.
Well, this is what he promised to help me with. I have the emails where he stated he promised to help me as well.
How much product? $3,300. How much product did you send back?
She returned $699.30, which was credited to my credit card. And she gave me a personal check for $300.
And you cashed it?
Of course.
Good.
Also, Your Honor, originally I gave Amy a can, 2 cans of product, which I said you can pay me back for. Just give me the same cans once you get your order, and she never did. So I had added that in as well.
You're going to have to live with that, sir. Damien.
Okay.
So she returned $700 worth of product, bringing it down to $2,600, and she gave you $300, leaving a grand total of $2,300.
And they actually prorated that, that they don't refund you the full amount. So they only give you, I think, 80 to 90% back.
And
that's what was credited to his credit card.
Well, that's all right. He has to be made whole. You're a big girl. How old are you?
36.
What?
36.
36. 36 years old. You make a decision. It doesn't work out. You have to take care of the consequences. These are slick guys. This is the way they make a living. They find people who are young, looking to start a new life, start a new business, not worked out in other fields, and they say, listen, you can make a lot of money. And some people make a lot of money. Mm-hmm. Ronald makes a good living, right? Damien, I don't know. Do you make a good living?
I'm working on it.
Well, how much did you earn last year?
With Just Where You Live?
Yes.
I'd have to look at my tax return.
Let's try to give me a round ballpark figure, Damien.
I'm going to say probably around $8,000.
8?
Mm-hmm.
You make a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
You've been there 12 years.
Yeah.
How long have you been in, Damien?
About 3 years.
Oh, when you're there 12 years, you're going to have that Mercedes you want.
I hope so.
What kind of car do you drive, Ronald?
I drive a BMW.
Now.
Can I say something?
Sure.
The business has a 1-year money-back guarantee. So at any point, she could have returned the product and got 90% of her money back. The business isn't designed for people to fail. If they don't want to do it, if they get a new job, that's okay. So if there was ever a discrepancy, she could have returned all the product and Damien would have got reimbursed. So.
But she didn't.
Right.
She's got to pay him.
Okay.
Thanks.
Sure.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,300. Thank you. That's all.
Tony Paternetti claims Jason Schnell vandalized his place of business when he recklessly drove a vehicle onto the property.
Mr. Paternetti, according to your complaint, it is your belief and your claim that the defendant caused substantial damage to buildings of yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
With his vehicle.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Schnell says he didn't do it. So, first, when was the damage to your buildings?
December 6th of last year, Your Honor.
What kind of buildings were there?
It was a fenced-in area where I keep some construction material and a metal building, a steel building. I drew a diagram, if I could show you that.
First, I'd like to see the damage done to the buildings. You have photographs?
Yes, ma'am.
There wasn't a tornado in your area, was there?
Not at that time, Your Honor.
No. And when you left, you said it was December of '06. What date in December?
December 6th.
On the 5th, were you at the building?
Yes, ma'am.
Building's okay?
It was fine when I left around 6 p.m.
Fence was okay?
Yes, everything was okay. No tornadoes that night.
So now I see the damage. How much in dollars was the damage that was
I estimated
caused?
around $4,600, Your Honor.
How do you get to that estimate, Mr. Paternetti?
I'm a licensed contractor. I brought a copy of my contractor's license, and I actually believe I estimated it low since I can do most of the work myself.
You have to replace the fence in the shed?
Yes.
Okay. Now you're going to try to explain to me, since I gather from your papers you did not see Mr. Schnell.
That's correct.
Cause this damage. What evidence do you have that he caused the damage?
Well, Your Honor, can I show you at first what I thought happened to the property?
No, don't tell me what you thought. I'm not interested in what you thought.
Okay, the reason I think it was Mr. Snell is when he hit the concrete sidewalk here, he blew out a tire. Left gouge marks on the concrete, knocked down all of this, and there was gouge marks all along the property, and we followed the gouge marks down here, and I could actually see where the gouge marks on the road.
You mean the gouge marks on the road from being driven on the tire rim?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Got it.
He turned up, I could see where they crossed the street and turned up 90th Avenue. At the time I was looking, a friend of mine and his son came down.
It's hearsay.
Okay. Well, I think that's a key evidence, Your Honor, that someone told us.
Well, I don't care if it's key evidence or not, sir. That's hearsay. What somebody else told you, an out-of-court statement, is not admissible in court for the truth of that statement. So right now, you're following the gouge marks.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay, at that point, the police went up this street. I didn't go.
You did not go with them?
No, I didn't. They went past this house, down here where they found Mr. Snell's vehicle.
Just a second. Only if you have a police report that indicates that.
I do have a police report,
I'd like
Your
to
Honor.
take a look at that. Police observe in their report that the damage appears to have been done by somebody doing donuts on the property with their car and lost control and struck the concrete pad, causing the right front tire to blow out, which caused damage to the rim. And then the writer observed pieces of the rim on the concrete pad. The writer observed gouge marks on the concrete from the broken rim. Then it ran into a chain link fence. Writer recovered various pieces from the rim and also the passenger's side mirror and what appeared to be a fog lamp. Then the police found the defendant's car, Mr. Schnell. That would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
Stand up on your own 2 feet.
Yes, ma'am.
And found that the mirror that was located at the location matched that of the subject vehicle. Coincidence.
Big coincidence, Your
Speak
Honor.
not!
Yes, ma'am.
And the writer, that would be the police, also observed that pieces of the rim that were found at the incident location also matched that of the subject's vehicle. That would be you.
My turn?
Look at me. Look at me.
Yes, ma'am. I was just
I don't
gonna
want
grab...
you to look down at anything.
Oh, no. I was just grabbing the pictures. I have evidence also. There's no way that my Jeep could have done that damage to his property, ma'am.
What kind of car do you... Put it down. What kind of car do you have?
98 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
How much did you pay for it?
About $5,000.
Did you take good care of the car?
Oh, no, ma'am, I did not.
So you acted irresponsibly towards the car.
Oh, I did.
Where did you
Yes,
get the $5,000 from to buy the car? Don't look over there.
Yes, ma'am. I just gotten off a deployment, ma'am, from Iraq, so I had a lot of money in the bank.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, about a day prior to the incident, ma'am, I had totaled my Jeep. I was driving along the road. I was speeding like...
Just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Day before,
Yes, ma'am.
you totaled the car.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me how you did that.
My tire...
Look at me.
Yes, ma'am. My tire blew out, and I went into...
Which tire?
My right front tire, ma'am.
Right front tire blew out.
Yes, ma'am.
How did it blow out, Mr. Schnell?
I don't know how it blew out, ma'am.
Right front tire blew out, and?
I went crashing into trees. I got pictures here that shows the trees that I crashed into.
I'd like to take
shows
a
the
look.
brake marks.
I'd like to take a look at the tree you crashed into.
Yes, ma'am.
And that wasn't anywhere near his building, was it?
Oh, no, ma'am.
Good.
You look at the pictures, you won't see a building around it.
And I want to see the car.
Yes,
you
ma'am.
took pictures
Yes, ma'am.
of the tree. Very nice. And now I want to see a picture of the car. Totaled undrivable?
Oh, yes, ma'am. It was completely undrivable.
Completely?
Yes, ma'am. Well, it would start, ma'am, but...
Don't speak. I have questions.
Yes, ma'am.
So you went into a tree. How far away from where you live?
A couple miles, ma'am. About 2 or 3.
Would it be anywhere in this area that's on the bottom?
I can show you on the map, ma'am.
Sure.
It would be out this way if the map extended further.
Okay, good. So it would be all the way over there.
Yes, ma'am.
And how did the car get back to your house?
I rode it home on the rim, ma'am.
I thought you told me that it was not drivable, sir.
It was...
Listen to me. You just told me a moment ago, Mr. Schnell,
Yes, ma'am.
that the car was not drivable.
Not safely drivable anyway, ma'am.
Mr. Schnell, this is not going to go well for you, sir. For you to drive it home.
Well,
on the
limp it
rim.
home's more like it, ma'am.
No. You either call the police.
The way I
that's what
figured
you
it is
do.
if I called the police and I filled out an accident report and everything and go back to my insurance company and most of those damages on there, I can just get the parts from a junkyard or something and fix it
Now,
cheaper
one
than
of the
deductible
things
would
that
be.
was damaged on your car, sir, is a side view mirror that's missing.
Yes, ma'am. I'm not
Just a sec. I'm speaking. A side view. So far, does it look as if I need your help?
I have some other pictures I want to show you, Your Honor.
Fine. I'm not finished with him yet. So far we have a right front tire
Yes, ma'am.
that matches the right front tire at his place of business, and a side view mirror also found at his place of business, also missing from your car.
Yes, ma'am.
Coincidence.
I'm
I'm
not-
speaking. Coincidence. Either it's a coincidence or it's on purpose.
It's coincidence, ma'am.
Coincidence.
Yes, ma'am.
We also have a fog lamp
Yes, ma'am.
also missing from your car.
I'm not
No.
disputing that my car was crashed, ma'am.
Just answer my question.
Yes, ma'am. Also missing.
That the police found on his property.
Yes, ma'am. Also, if you'll look at that picture, though, ma'am, did they find my bumper on his property?
Just a second.
Did they find anything
let
else
me
that was
explain
missing from the
something
car,
to you,
ma'am?
sir. I don't answer your question.
Yes, ma'am.
That is not my job.
Yes, ma'am.
At what rank did you leave the military?
Lance Corporal, ma'am.
What was a step above Lance Corporal?
Corporal.
Corporal. And above that?
Sergeant.
Did you speak back to your sergeant?
I did
not
when
if
I
you
was right,
wanted to
ma'am.
live, right?
I did when I was right, ma'am.
Well, maybe that's why you chose not to make the Army a career.
Marine Corps, ma'am.
So now we have the coincidence of right front tire, side view mirror, and fog lamp, all retrieved at his place of business after the police, according to this, followed the rim marks back to your house.
There is no way that I could have drove that car that night because the tire was already blown out.
That's if I believe that you went into a tree the day before. That's if I believe that, sir. You're starting out with a premise that is not necessarily true.
I have a witness that can say for sure that my Jeep was wrecked on the night in question.
You mean that's him?
Yes, ma'am.
If I were to call you up here, would you tell me that the Jeep was wrecked the day before?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yeah, right. Now, when you got home, just for my own curiosity, when you got home on the 5th after you wrecked this vehicle and you live with your... Look at me. With him? I'm asking you a question.
Oh, me, ma'am? I thought
Yeah.
you were talking to him again.
No,
Sorry
my
about that.
eyes look at the person I'm talking to.
Yes, ma'am. No, I live at home, ma'am, with my family.
With your family?
Yes, ma'am.
Mother and father?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you provide the police with your mother and father's names so that they could confirm the story that you told about your car being damaged the day before? The answer is either yes or... Okay. Now I'll see your pictures.
Thank you. These are actual police photographs, Your Honor, when the police went to his house. And these photos are still in evidence that show the fog lamp in question and the mirror and some parts for the rim
I'd like to see
that the police matched to the vehicle. And I've also found more pieces on my property since I've been doing the cleanup.
Okay, just a second. So the mirror that was found, which is primarily what I'm looking at, the paint is the same color as his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, let's see what else we have. So we have
As you
right
can see-
front tire, side view mirror, the same color as the side view mirror would have been from his car.
Yes, Your Honor.
All found on your property.
Yes, Your Honor.
What kind of work do you do now, Mr. Schnell?
I'm unemployed, ma'am,
How long have you been unemployed?
since end of November.
Why?
Unemployment pays better than Walmart.
So your parents just let you sort of hang around after you. When did you come out of the service?
My EAS was November 26th.
Of 06?
Yes, ma'am.
So you stayed home December, January, February. At this point, it's time for you to get into gear, right?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
First, you pay him the money that you owe him, $4,600. Judgment for the plaintiff, that's all.
18-year-old Monica Vasquez claims ex-boyfriend Lendon Trujillo owes for kicking her car and smashing it with trash cans. Monica also claims Lendon destroyed her cell phone.
You are?
Lydia Calderon, Monica's mother.
Okay, but you don't know anything about this case particularly, do you?
No.
Except that the car belonged to you.
Belongs to both of us.
Are you both on the title?
Yes.
Why don't you sit down for a moment? You're Monica?
Yes.
This was your boyfriend?
Yes.
How long was he your boyfriend?
For about 3 years.
Monica, you say that he broke your cell phone and vandalized your car.
Yes.
He says he didn't do it. So tell me when he vandalized your car.
It was like about 1:30, and he showed up at my house.
1:30
in the
on what
morning.
On what date?
July 28th.
Where were you?
I was at home.
Who else was at home?
My sister.
It was 1:30 a.m. Do you live with your sister?
Yes, I do.
What does your sister do for a living?
She works at Premier Real Estate. She's
And
a
what do you do?
receptionist.
What do you do?
I'm a cashier.
Where?
At Rite Aid.
How long have you been working there?
In October, it'll be a year.
Mr. Trujillo.
Yes.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I'm a tattoo artist.
You work for yourself?
Yeah, pretty much.
What does that mean?
I'm not working at a shop right now.
So where do you work from?
Out of my house.
Are you licensed?
No.
Do you have to be licensed where you live?
No.
Where do you live?
I live in California.
And in California, you don't need a license to give somebody a tattoo with
No,
a
you
needle?
don't.
That's a big mistake, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you need a license to give somebody a pedicure,
Yeah.
but not to give somebody a tattoo.
No.
You sure about that?
I'm positive about that.
Anyway, do you make a living at this?
Yeah.
Well, especially since you have no overhead.
What's that? No. What? No. What? No.
Overhead.
Overhead? Oh, okay. Yeah, that was over my head. Sorry.
Unfortunately, Mr. Trujillo, that was true.
Right. Sorry about that.
All right, Miss Vasquez, why don't you tell me about what happened on the 28th of July?
Okay, he showed up at my house, and he knocked on my window. I came out of my room, and I went to the garage, because he went around the house. And I had told him to leave because my sister did not want him around her house.
Why did he come there?
He was...
He said you called him.
No, I did not call him.
You say in your papers, sir, that you went over to the house at 1:30 on July 28th because she called you.
Yeah, we had been talking.
No. Because she called you on July 28th. That's
Okay.
why you said you went over there, right?
Right.
And how did she call you? On your cell phone?
Yeah.
Do you have your cell phone records?
No. I'm sure if I went and got them, I could bring them back to you. I mean, if you wanted to, another
We
date
don't
or
do
something.
do-overs here, Mr. Trujillo. What we do is, when you're coming to court, you're supposed to be prepared. You know what it's like, Mr. Trujillo? You do tattooing
Yeah.
in your house.
Right.
Let's say you made an appointment with somebody who's going to get a really big tattoo. They were going to pay a whole lot of money
Yeah.
for the tattoo. And let's say they arrived and they sat down for you to do the tattoo and you forgot to buy ink.
Right. Yeah, it's happened a couple times.
That's what it's like, Mr. Trujillo, when you come here without evidence.
Yeah, I understand.
With just your good looks and tattoo. That's what happens. You're supposed to bring evidence, bring proof. So we have no proof that she called you to arrive at her house
Right.
1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And so you went outside and you told him to disappear.
Yes.
And what happened?
And by that time, my sister had came out because she heard the knock because our rooms are right next door. And she had went out and told him to leave her house because she was going to call the
police.
Because the incident with the phone.
Oh, so the incident with the phone happened first?
Yes.
And that happened about a month before?
Yes.
Why don't you tell me what happened?
Okay, I was at work, and I get out of work at 10, and he showed up at my work, so I left.
Had you not been seeing each other?
No.
Right.
And I left my work, and he followed me down the street, and he was telling me to pull over, and he was next to me in my car. And so I pulled over because he was coming closer to my car, and he had said that if I didn't pull over, he would go to my house and like break windows. And so I pulled over, and he had got my phone to check it for what, I don't know, we weren't together. And I was telling him to give me back my phone, and he was like, "You want your phone?" So he cracked it in half and gave it to me. And so...
Had he been drinking?
Yes, he had a beer in his car.
Who else was in the car?
He was by himself that night.
You got to get a job out of the house, Mr. Trujillo.
Okay.
Listen to me, sir. First, I want you to tell me who these people are that you brought with you to court today.
I brought my dad to court with me today and my brother Fabian. This is my dad, Johnny, and Fabian and Silo.
Yeah, and you all live together?
No.
Do you live alone?
No, I live with my uncle.
Why?
Because my dad has recently moved, and he had moved in with someone else, and there wasn't enough room, so I actually went to live with my uncle.
And where does your brother live?
With his grandpa.
How old are you?
I'm 18.
How old is your brother?
19.
Who did your father move in with?
His girlfriend.
Was there a time you were all living together?
At one time, yeah.
When was the last time you lived together with your father?
About 2 months ago, I lived with my dad in Visalia.
And your brother also lived with your father?
No. My brother has always lived with his grandpa in Tulare.
Did you break her phone?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Well, tell me what happened, Mr. Trujillo.
Me and Monica had been seeing each other before this incident with the cell phone happened. We had been talking, and we had been texting each other, and she had told me that she got out of work at 10 o'clock, and that if I wanted to see her after work. And I said, okay, cool. I had the car, so I said, okay, I'll meet you at Taco Bell. So we went, and we met at Taco Bell parking lot, and we were there. Everything was fine. We were talking, hugging. Everything was cool. And then a call comes through on my phone. And when a call comes through on my phone, it was a ringtone, as, you know, the ringtones, like I know you've heard them, like the lovey-dovey ringtones, like the, you know what I mean, like the guy and girl together ringtones. You know what I'm talking about or no? Like, I mean, I could sing one. Song or something. Like, I mean, I could sing one for you, if you want me to sing one. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, at the time when that had happened, we were both kind of looking at each other because I was already like, okay, you know, something's wrong, I messed up. So Monica had...
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that time, Monica had snatched my phone out of my hand. And when that had happened, she snatched my phone, and I reached for it back. We kind of got into an argument, a little conflict, you know what I mean? And
who was calling you, Mr. Trujillo?
Just a friend.
Boyfriend or a girlfriend?
It was a girlfriend.
The timing was really terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't expected.
It was messed up.
Yeah, it was at the right time. So when that had happened, I was leaning up against my car, and Monica had thrown my phone at me. But when she had thrown my phone at me, somehow, and you can tell she has little hands. I don't know how she had both phones in her hand, but when she had thrown it at me, my phone rolled over the car, the hood of the car, and her phone hit my car and broke. However it broke, it was snapped in half, and that's basically what happened.
When he met you at Taco Bell, had you told him that you were going to be out of work at 10 o'clock?
No, he called my work around 10, and he said, I was around the corner. He goes, I'll be there right now. And I was like, I'm going home, I'm leaving. And at that point, my boss had opened the doors to let me leave earlier than everybody else, because I had told him. And when I got in my car to leave, he was already at the corner, and that's when he just followed me.
You think if I called her boss would say that they opened the door and let her out a little early?
No, I don't.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
What's your boss's name?
David Centeno.
Give me his number.
It's my phone, and my phone is out there.
The Rite Aid number, 67816. There you go.
7816? Now, Mr. Trujillo.
Yes, ma'am.
I want you to listen to me very carefully.
Okay.
When somebody tells me I tend to disbelieve everything that they say, especially when I have to get my rather sizable keister off this chair and go in the back to make a telephone call. Do you understand?
Oh, yes.
Now, I am prepared to do that.
Okay.
Unless you want to revise your version of the cell phone events.
No, ma'am. No, not at all.
Okay, so let's call Mr. David, because he doesn't have any clue that I might be calling him. He is going to tell me whether or not he let her out early because you were going to come over.
Right.
Okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Yes, is David Centeno there, please? David, this is Judge Judy Scheindlin. How are you? Good, thank you. David, I have a question for you. I'm here trying a case with Monica Vasquez. And I want you to think back to some time around the end of June of this year, in the evening when she was leaving. There was an incident with her boyfriend when he called the store. Do you remember that? Could you tell me what happened, please, David? Mm-hmm. Okay. Wonderful. David, you're a very, very nice man for speaking to me. I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. Bye-bye. Boss is a very nice gentleman. Mr. Trujillo, I suggest you spend a little less time tattooing and piercing yourself and a little more time honing your truthful skills, sir. Honing your truthful skills. Ask your father what that means. Honing your truthful skills, sir.
Oh, okay.
Because Mr. Santano says that he remembers the evening very well. You would call the store. You said, I'm going to get down there before the store closes. They let her leave early, and they stood there to watch her get in her car and take off before you got there because she had already broken up with you, and she was afraid about what was going to happen if you got there.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So now I believe very little, sir, of what you're going to tell me. So now he owes you a cell phone. Now I want you to tell me what happened when he vandalized your car.
Okay, that was the night he showed up at my window.
That's correct.
Okay.
And you came out, you told him to leave. Sister came out and you told him to leave. And I understand that there were other people with him.
His father and his brother.
Two geniuses.
Yes. And they were all drinking.
Two geniuses. Well, they can't live together, so at least they can drink together. I guess that's what family's all about. Go ahead.
And my sister had told his dad to keep him away from her house. And his dad didn't really understand what was happening because Lyndon didn't let him know about the night with the cell phone. So he didn't understand why my sister was...
I think if there wasn't a cell phone, his father wouldn't have understood. Go ahead.
So after that, my sister had told him she was going to call the cops and get a restraining order on him. And at that time, Lyndon was mad because his dad had told me, well, then I don't want her calling him or at my house. And I had said, I haven't called your son and I haven't been to your house. And at that time, Lyndon had got mad and they were drinking. So he kind of like pushed my sister. And at that time, when he got angry, my sister ran to the house to call the cops. And at that time, I had ran back to the house too because he was still mad. And he followed me to the garage door on the side of the house. And when I closed the door and locked it, I could feel him trying to open it. He just went to the front of the garage where my car was parked, and I heard a loud noise. And at that time, I had lifted the garage door up because my sister had came out, and we seen him leave the side of my car and get into his dad's car, and the two trash cans were against my car, laying against my car.
You have pictures of the car?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to take a look at it. Outrageous. When did you purchase this car?
Last year in November.
Bought it yourself?
My mom helped me.
Who pays for it?
I do.
Paid the insurance too?
Mm-hmm.
Stand up next to him. You came here. You might as well stand up here.
Monica Vasquez says ex-boyfriend Lyndon Trujillo owes for vandalizing her car and for destroying her cell phone.
What were you doing out with your son at 1:30 in the morning?
We had went to the club.
What club?
El Presidente.
What were you doing at the club?
Dancing.
And drinking?
I was, yes.
With whom?
Females.
All different kinds?
Pretty much, yeah.
So if you were dancing and drinking with a whole bunch of females, you weren't watching what your two sons were doing?
Actually, he was on his cell phone the whole time we were there, text messaging and back and forth. And I went to him and asked him, who you texting? And he said, Monica. So
And that's what he said to you?
Yeah.
That's what he said to you, but you don't know that that's true.
No, but if I may, Your Honor.
Yeah.
The day before the cell phone incident had occurred,
Yeah.
she came to my house, and my dad was coming up from work, and she was coming downstairs. I was walking her down to her car. And that's why I don't understand really how it could go from her being upstairs in my house and me and her being together in a relationship or working things out, and then to...
Well, were you working things out or were you in a relationship, sir?
No, we're working things out to be in a relationship.
So what did you go there at 1:30 in the morning for?
Because we had been texting each other. We had been texting and talking to each other, and...
Did she invite you there?
Yeah, I had her on speakerphone because I was the designated driver.
Yeah, she had told him.
Yeah, she was in the car. She knew that the speakerphone wasn't on.
That her sister was asleep, the kids were gone, for him to go over there and visit to see her.
And what were you going to do?
I just sat in the car because I was drinking.
You, and what about him?
He was in the back seat.
So the two of you were just going to sit there in the back seat of the car,
Well,
in the
actually,
front seat
yeah.
of the car, while he went inside to visit with his girlfriend?
They didn't go inside. They stayed outside in the driveway.
Fine. So he goes over to see Monica, and how did her car get dented?
When we got there, Monica had stepped outside. She was walking towards her car. We pulled up, and she went like this, like waved us over there. We all three got out of the car, walked over. She showed us a dent on her car and said that she had got into an accident with a motorcyclist. And me and her made a few comments back and forth because I had just recently wrecked my Harley. And I had told her, you know, so anyways, we said a few statements back and forth. And then me and Fabian went back and got back in the car. They stayed there talking, hugging, kissing until Marie came outside. And Monica flipped the whole script when Marie came outside. Because she was upset.
Were you at his house the day before?
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
Yeah, you was.
No, I was not.
When you send a text message, could you save those things?
They stay for 14 days.
Huh?
You can log them.
Save them, right?
Yes, you can.
Show me.
Your Honor, I don't have my phone with me. I don't have any proof right now, Your Honor, so
Well,
it's...
Why don't you, sir?
Because I came unprepared. I came on intentions of knowing that what I know is true.
Is everything that you said just now as truthful as you went over to the store the end of June, invited by her to come over to the store?
What, to her store, Rite Aid?
Yeah.
No, I didn't go to Rite Aid.
Oh,
I didn't.
no.
No, I said I went to Taco Bell. I drove to Taco Bell. She was at Rite Aid when we had talked on her.
Why would you think, Mr. Trujillo, that she would say to her boss, concerned, I just want to get out of here before he comes over? And the boss distinctly remembers all the employees watching her get into the car to make sure she was safe and leave.
But I wasn't in her parking lot, though.
I don't care whether you were in a parking lot or not, sir. Why
I
do you
thought
think that boss would remember that?
Oh, yeah, no, boss, no. I'm not saying that. She got in her car, but I'm saying what I'm trying to tell you, though, is that I did not go into her parking lot.
No, what you said, Mr. Trujillo, was that you had an appointment to meet in Taco Bell.
Yeah.
And that, sir, is a lie. That, sir, is a lie.
That we met in Taco Bell?
It is a lie that you had an appointment to meet at Taco Bell. Because when she heard from you, she asked her boss if she could take off because she was concerned about her safety. They all watched her leave.
Then why would she have pulled into Taco Bell if she knew that she could have got away from me?
I don't know what you were doing, sir. And I don't know what your drunken father was doing or your drunken brother was doing on the night this happened with the car. I have no clue. All I know is, sir, you lied to me once, and you also don't know the law in the jurisdiction where you live because you're required to have a license to tattoo. Sir.
Okay.
And what is your address?
My address right now?
Where you're doing the tattooing?
In a house. On.
What is the address?
I don't know my address. I just know it's on Bradley Street. I've only been there like a month, 2 months, so I don't know the address. I don't get mail there.
Did you make more than 3 children or
Only
just 3?
Only 3.
Only 3. So far you got 2 losers, right? 1,
I don't consider
2.
them losers, but...
Well, so far they haven't done anything to make you proud.
Sure they have.
I don't see
I
it.
graduated high school. That made me proud.
My God. My God, that's like the 8th wonder of the world.
That's an accomplishment in this family.
That's right.
I'm sorry.
You got to do something with it once you graduate from high school.
Yes, I totally agree.
I'm so pleased that you agree with me. I've been looking forward all year for a person of your stature to agree with me. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $950. That's all. Goodbye.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Soyak versus Holloway. Step forward, please.
Limousine driver James Soyak is suing former client, business owner Tim Holloway, for an unpaid hotel bill. James says Tim is a scammer.
Mr. Holloway, how old are you, sir?
33.
What kind of work do you do, sir?
I have a maintenance company.
How long have you had it?
My dad had it since '59. I took it over about 3 years ago.
He's no longer involved in the business?
Sometimes, yeah.
So he still goes into the office?
Correct.
On a daily basis?
2 or 3 times a week.
Are you making this up as we're going along, sir?
No.
Are you trying to give me accurate answers? Because you never can tell why I'm asking you these questions.
Correct.
Now, do you live alone or do you live with someone else?
I live with my fiance.
Did you move into her place or did you move in someplace together?
Together.
When?
2 years ago.
What's the address?
North Wilson.
How large an apartment is it?
It's a condo. 2 bedrooms, 2 baths.
Are you renting or did you buy it?
We're renting that.
Are you both on the lease?
Yes.
It's like shooting fish in a barrel. Now, Mr. Soyak, you drive a limousine.
Yes, ma'am.
And your complaint is that you drove Mr. Holloway in your limousine to a casino, hotel.
Yes.
And he told you that he'd forgotten his wallet and he needed a hotel room. So you agreed to put the hotel room on your credit card.
Yes, sir.
That's not true.
He used the room and then stiffed you for the reimbursement.
I rented 2 rooms for him, $99 each.
In addition, he didn't have his wallet, so he said he needed some money. You gave him cash. He gave you a check.
Yes, ma'am.
For $300. The check bounced.
Yes.
That's not true.
What's not true, sir?
The room. Now the check.
Let's talk about the check.
Okay.
Let me hear.
I gave him a check. Me and my fiance was having problems at the house. I couldn't get to what I need to get to the bank. I owe him for the $300, but the hotel room, it never happened.
Okay. Now, Mr. Holloway, your last paragraph of your answer, which you swore to, sir, says, I did give him a check for $300, which was returned. I explained that I had just moved and was having problems with my bank account.
I did just move.
No, just a second. I explained that I had just moved.
Same thing I just said.
No, that's not. Mr. Holloway, let me understand something, sir. No more than 5 minutes ago, I said to you, where do you live? You gave me the address. Who do you live with? I live with my fiance. How long have you lived there in the condo? 2 years. Did you sign a lease? Yes.
That's what I said. But I just moved. If we was having problems, evidently I had to leave because we was having problems. So I did leave. Now now we reconciled. That's one thing. But I did leave. So what I told you is the truth.
Can I see the bills for the 2 rooms, please? Mr. Soyak, how long have you been driving a limousine?
10 years.
Okay. You ever had this kind of trouble?
Never.
Mr. Soyak, let me explain something to you. Don't be an idiot. You don't take out your credit card, allow somebody to put money on your credit card. You don't take checks from people you don't know.
You're absolutely right.
Good. Can I have it, please? The rooms you rented for $99, but he certainly did a lot more damage than the $99.
He drank everything in the bar. Plus movies, plus phone calls.
I never went in the room.
Okay. You owe him a whole bunch of money, sir. You owe him for these 2 hotel rooms. Who else was with you? Who else was with him, Mr. Soyak?
He found a couple of young gentlemen. They were walking the street while we were in Old Town Pasadena. And he claimed he's a music producer. And I don't know how he knew these guys can sing, but he made friends with them and invited them later to be picked up in the car. And we drove them also to the Commerce Casino. He didn't want the other two men to sleep in the same room as him, so he wanted me to get a separate room for them.
That's a lie. That never happened.
It's not a lie because I have my witnesses
Mr. Holloway,
here.
Mr. Holloway.
I have my witnesses here. My other driver that picked him up Sunday.
So you dropped him off and somebody else picked him up?
Yes.
Who picked him up?
Richard. He's my co-driver.
Step up, sir. Your last name?
Thompson.
Where did you pick Mr. Holloway up?
Commerce Casino.
Who else was with him?
2 other gentlemen, like young, like 2 20-year-olds or something like that.
Maybe that's what you were fighting with your fiancé about. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,113. That's all. Step out.
Thank you. I trust Judy. She's got a keen sense of what's going on.
I didn't sign for any room. My name wasn't on the room.
I was driving him for about 4 days. He introduced me to his friends, his family.
If he's driving, I always introduce people. That's just me.
This will never happen again. This is a very good lesson for me.
Delivery truck driver Barbara Knapp is suing her ex-boyfriend, steelworker Claude Wheeler, for purposely driving her van into a ditch. Claude claims he swerved to miss a deer.
Ms. Knapp, it is your claim that Mr. Wheeler, who used to be your boyfriend, wrecked your car.
Correct.
And in addition to the damages to the car, you want some money for pain and suffering. I don't know what pain and suffering you want. You'll, I'm sure, explain it to me. Tell me about the day of the incident.
Okay, on December 28th, I do believe,
We went grocery shopping, stopped at a bar and had a few drinks and was coming home. And
Okay, what time did you get to the bar?
8 o'clock.
8 p.m.?
8 p.m.
And how long did you stay at the bar?
Oh, possibly an hour maybe. No, not that long because we had groceries in the car, so about an hour then, say.
Is that right, sir?
Correct.
Okay, you stopped at a bar, groceries in the car, went home, on your way back to
On
the
our
grocery.
way back home, and we were discussing just things, and an old boyfriend was brought up because he was apparently came into the bar, and I had made his comment that he's still love of my life, and he didn't like it, so I don't know what was said, but then he swatted me upside the head, in the back of the head, and then I had told him that that was it and it was over, and he proceeded to say, oh, I'll show you that. He drove my car down into the ditch. The next thing you know, a pole's coming, and we were headed straight for the pole, and he turned it just enough to go past the pole, but in the meantime, we kind of got wedged into the ditch and had to go out the windows to get out, and then I was just kind of in shock, I do believe, and
okay.
That was that.
Well, we were driving home that night. We had a few drinks, and we were arguing, and I was looking at her.
Try looking at me.
I don't recall slapping her upside the head or striking her. We were arguing, and I was looking at her, and when I turned my eyes back to the road, there were deer in the road, and I swerved to the right to miss the deer, and as soon as we got to the edge of the road, the snow sucked us into the ditch. I didn't do it intentionally.
Don't remember the deer?
There was no deer. He did it on
Okay.
purpose.
And you issued a report?
Mm-hmm.
You have a copy of that report?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please.
That is the traffic report. Okay.
You have any other police reports?
No, I went to the troopers barracks to try to get the actual report from my statement and his statement, but apparently they do not let that out. They don't.
Your Honor, I have a signed statement of her from the night of the accident.
Can
right
I
here.
see it, please? That's what I'm looking for. Well, you did sign a statement on the 28th of December, Ms. Knapp.
Okay.
You didn't say anything about him purposely damaging your car. You say at about 2 or 3 o'clock, my boyfriend was at my house. He had a margarita, which was left over from last night. At about 7 o'clock, we went grocery shopping at Wegmans and then went to Jit's Bar for a couple of beers and pool. He had 2 or 3 beers there. Then we started home. Claude was driving. I wasn't paying attention, and all of a sudden we were going towards the ditch. I didn't see if there was a deer, just that he was going towards the ditch. You didn't tell the police that he tried to kill both of you?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I just was still in shock from all of it, and I just didn't. I just was going to go with the story with the deer because I just was in shock because that's what he wanted me to say, and I just didn't.
What happened?
Notice, Penal Law Section 210.45, in a written instrument, any person who knowingly makes a false statement which such person does not believe to be true has committed a crime under the laws of the state of New York and is punishable by a Class A misdemeanor. And that's what you signed.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any reason why you think, Ms. Knapp, that I should believe you now? Ms. Knapp, I have a couple more questions for you. When did you and the defendant separate?
Around the 1st of February.
So between December
The
28th and the 1st of February, you still lived together?
No, we did not live
We
together.
just dated,
And you dated the same way that you were dated before?
pretty much.
It wasn't not in my eyes, because it was over in my eyes, and I just wanted to get a deductible from him, so I kind of.
Which I did pay. I paid the
He did pay
$500
the- yes.
deductible.
But I figured if I broke up with him, I wouldn't have seen any money or nothing, so I kind of just had to hang in there to get my deductible, and.
You know,
And then a month and a half later, 2 months down the road, she's after for this $5,000.
that's not going to happen.
Thank you.
Ms. Knapp, if someone tried to kill me with a car, I wouldn't get into bed with them for a deductible or anything else. And if you did, that's your problem. Bye. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He was jealous over an old boyfriend from 15 years ago, and he just didn't want to hear that I wanted to break up with him, and was going to just show me, and
I didn't intentionally wreck her van or try to kill either one of us.
I still owe a balance on the van, but beats having to be with him anymore.
Guess it wasn't true love.
Jail. And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of McCall versus Wilhelm. Step forward, please.
71-year-old Bourbon McCall is suing his former friend, 32-year-old student Sandra Wilhelm, for unpaid loans and the cost of a car. Sandra says Bourbon's lawsuit is an attempt to keep her in his life.
Mr. McCall, it is your claim in this complaint that you were romantically involved with the defendant and made a series of loans to her, including a car.
Yes, ma'am.
Then she broke it off, and you want your money back.
Yes, Your Honor.
When and where did you meet Mr. McCall?
I met Sandra at a local pub that we both frequented.
Okay. When?
Sometime in March, Your Honor.
And when did you make this first loan?
Well, the first thing that happened, I had bought a computer, and Sandra agreed to come over and download it for me. Then she'd had an accident, and she had picked up a DUI, and her car was wrecked. So I then called her and asked her if I could be of any help to her. She said, well, my mother's got a car, that 88 Crown Victoria. Her mother was asking $2,300 for the car. I gave Sandra $2,300. We went in. She gave us the title. We then proceeded to go down and get it plated and titled.
Did you expect Miss Wilhelm to pay you back the money?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Did you ever tell her that?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Shh, quiet. When did you tell her that?
I told her that before we bought the car. I said,
What did you say?
I said, if we buy a car, I'll help you get a car. But I said, I want title to that car. She said, well, how am I going to get plates and insurance and the rest of it? Why don't we just purchase a vehicle? You'll have the first lien on the vehicle so that I'm protected.
Well, the truth of the matter is, you really are not terribly protected. All you are, if you had title to the car, is you're exposed in case she has an accident, in case she doesn't get insurance.
Well, she did that.
I know, but that's a problem. Miss Wilhelm, first of all, how old are you?
32.
How old are you, sir?
71.
Okay. Miss Wilhelm, this, whatever kind of relationship you had with the plaintiff was of relatively short duration. I read your answer very clearly, and your answer says that he clearly wanted more from the relationship than you were prepared to give him.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Can I see the title to the car, please?
Yes.
Who
I
has
just
the
have a
title?
certificate of title.
I'd like to see it, please.
Here's a copy of the title.
And I'd like to see the certificate of title.
This is Exhibit B and C showing the registration and the application.
I just want the title to the car.
He has the title.
This is a copy. Who has
Yeah.
the original?
I have the original at home. I just made a copy of it, Your Honor.
Well, that wasn't very smart, sir.
Well, I'm not.
That wasn't very smart because I read the defendant's answer very clearly. She says, Bourbon's goal was to control me. When I didn't respond to his advances, he became increasingly hostile. Is that true?
That is correct.
It's not true.
Eventually, I told him that he could have the car back because it's not worth the harassment. That's what you wrote. Is that what you wrote?
Yes.
Good. Sign the title over to him. Sign it over. Now.
He has the title.
You're going to sign the copy. We'll conform it. Show where to sign, Bird, would you please? You're getting good at that.
You were. He told me he didn't want the car, Your Honor.
Sign the title over to him.
Signature of seller. And print your name.
Now, give it to him, please. Thank you, Bird. Perfect. Now, let's get to the second part of your lawsuit is you made a series of loans to the defendant. When did they start?
Started after we had purchased the automobile. She just needed money time after time, and I felt like we were committed enough. We'd already committed that we would go to Texas once she got through her ordeal, and that she would move with me, take the kids. She wanted out of Indiana, so did I.
She's 40 years your junior.
Yes, I know, Your Honor.
Very foolish.
Yes, Your Honor.
Very foolish. Do you have a promissory note, sir?
No, Your Honor.
You gave her money for a lawyer.
Yes.
How much money did you give her for a lawyer?
$500.
That's not true.
You gave her money to pay her mortgage.
$500.
Did you ever get a note from her for any of those things?
No, Your Honor, I was too involved.
Well, you were too involved, and that's what you get when you're too involved.
That's
sir.
right.
You don't get paid for that.
That's right.
That's stupidity.
Well, I said that myself, to myself.
Well, if you said it to yourself, unfortunately, you got to listen to me say it to you again.
That's okay.
So this was a lesson that cost you perhaps a couple of $1,000s. Miss Wilhelm says that you never gave her any money, I assume. Is that right?
That's correct.
Never gave you any money?
No.
I don't know whether I believe you that he never gave you any money. I sort of think he probably did. In any event, you knew each other for a total of maybe 8 weeks. In the 8 weeks, the plaintiff is out a substantial amount of money. I can't get you back all the money that you were out, sir, because I really feel as if you didn't have a contract with her with regard to these cash loans that you made to her, cash gifts that you made to her. But clearly, it was your intention to have a hold on the car, which was the largest amount of money that you turned over to the plaintiff, by having your name placed as a lien holder on the car. That is some evidence of a debt. That is why you got your car back. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Rest of your claim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Basically, is trying to make a relationship.
She was claiming what was not true.
I thought them being 40 years my senior that it would be totally harmless.
She was unwilling to settle it outside the court.
He told me he was not interested in the car.
I did have proof that I had interest in the car.
We basically wanted to go ahead and keep that as leverage to keep things ongoing in a manner which I couldn't accept.
Then for some car deal gone bad. Mr. Rose denies owing you any money, so let's go through the timeline.
Okay.
You and Mr. Rhodes were in a relationship in 2005 and 2006, is that correct?
Yes, December of 05 through July of 06, we were boyfriend-girlfriend together.
And you have a daughter together. How old is that child?
We have a son.
Son.
I actually found out that I was pregnant 3 weeks after we broke up and he moved out of my home.
And how old is the child?
6 months.
When was the first amount of money that you claim Mr. Rhodes owes you? When was that debt initiated?
That was initiated in January of 07. I have the paperwork here from both the dealership that did the repairs along with where my credit card was charged.
Well, tell me about the loan.
I was about 6 months pregnant. He was to start a new job. And
were you living together or not?
No, we were not living together. We had broken up. But he was getting ready to start a new job, could not start the new job without a vehicle, so I agreed to...
So tell me what he said to you and what you said to him.
He asked me if I would help him to get the car repaired so he could have a job to support our family. And
is that what you did?
He offered it out.
Well, how did she know about it, Mr. Rhodes? How did she know that you needed someone to finance your car repairs?
Well, because we talk on a daily basis.
Okay. So she was pregnant.
And...
Just a second. She was pregnant at the time?
She was.
Was she working at the time?
She was.
And she was supporting herself at the time?
She was.
You weren't supporting her?
No.
So you called her and said?
Pretty much, my car's broke down.
So?
We discussed it, and she offered to help me out with it.
And?
And it got taken care of and paid for and done.
By whom?
By the dealership. She actually is the one that paid for it.
And?
That's about it.
What do you mean that's about it?
That's about it.
Well, it's your car. You have to pay for it.
Well, I understand.
So why didn't you do it?
Because I was financially unable to.
Why?
Because I was in between jobs.
Why?
Because door-to-door sales isn't easy.
Collect cans.
I've tried that. It didn't work out too well.
You tried collecting cans?
Yeah, it didn't work out too well.
I don't believe it. Don't be a smart mouth with me.
I'm not trying to be, Your Honor.
If you can't make a living as a door-to-door salesman, do something else.
That's what I did.
Good. What did you do?
I moved on to a different career.
What's your career?
I'm in furniture sales.
Commission or salary?
It's both. I'm guaranteed a certain amount per week, but if my commission outweighs that, I get my commission.
Who do you work for?
I work for Ashley.
And how long have you worked for them?
Since September 30th.
What did you work for before that?
I work for Bright House Cable.
Doing what?
Door-to-door cable sales.
How old are you?
29.
You're too old to be still finding yourself, Mr. Rhodes.
I understand.
Who do you live with?
I live with my girlfriend.
What does she do for a living?
She is a server.
A server?
Mm-hmm.
What does she serve?
She serves food.
You're his friend?
Yes, ma'am.
What?
Yes, ma'am.
Just in the event you wanted to stand up next to him, I just wanted to give you some taste of what would happen to you if I don't get an answer that sounds logical to me. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect.
May I say something, Judge?
No. How much were the car repairs?
They were $15.24 and 60 cents. Right here I have the
I'd like
credit
to
card.
see them, please.
The statement from...
You got a pregnant girlfriend who's working, who's not taking any money from you during her pregnancy, who's working to support herself, and you call her to ask her for money? Ridiculous. Where is this car that she repaired for you?
It's actually sold.
You sold it for what?
Because she wanted me to sell it for 2 years, and so finally got to a point where I sold it.
And what'd you do with the money?
Pretty much paid off the lien that took a loan out on the car. Then that was pretty much it. Took care of the whole car.
So how do you get to work now?
I purchased a new car. It's not exactly. It's not exactly new though.
Ugh. You must see something that I don't. All right. $1,524.60. What's next?
The rent.
Forget rent. He didn't pay you back the $1,524.60. Then you let him move in with the idea that he was going to pay you rent. You let him stay there 3 months. He didn't pay a penny. I read your claim.
Right. I was pregnant, and for the last month of my pregnancy, he moved in. Said he was going to start making payments. He had a job when he moved in. Payments never came through, and I wanted him to be there for my family.
Then deal with it. Deal with the rent. If you act stupid once and lay out $1,500 for him when you're working, supporting yourself and supporting your unborn child, and then you let him move in, and if he doesn't pay you the first month, you kick him out. And if you let him stay the second and third month because you thought maybe it would work out with him, which I don't know why. What do you do?
I understand that.
What do you do for a living?
I'm an account executive. I'm in sales. The only reason I let him move back in, I was 6 months pregnant, or 9 months pregnant, actually. That was my last month. And I wanted to be there for the child. It's not the child's fault. So I let him move in so he could have his father, and unfortunately, he didn't pay me back. And that's why I'm here today.
I've got the $1,520. Nobody lives free except you let him. What's next?
Next is when he agreed to pay me back. He had a $5,000 check for the sale of the car that I had did the repairs. And
okay, stop there. He sold the car, and the car that he just described to me that he sold and paid off the liens was the car that we're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, now tell me the story.
He came to me with a $5,000 cashier's check. We talked about it and discussed it. He did not have a checking account to cash the check because he's on different bad things with his bank account, so he didn't have an account to do that in. So I agreed because I verified with my bank that it was a legitimate check. He signed it over to me. I put it in my account. I took funds out that was agreed upon ahead of time.
Which funds?
Funds from my bank account. I have receipts here.
No, I understand you
$1,200.
took out funds, $1,200, from the $5,000.
Correct.
What did you do with the $1,200?
I gave it to Mr. Rhodes.
For what?
To buy another vehicle and pay off his back taxes.
All I want to know is, you gave him the $1,200.
Correct.
When did you give him the $1,200?
On August the 10th. I have the receipts here to show that it was taken out of my bank account on August the 10th.
And according to what I read, the purchaser reneged on the deal and canceled the check.
Right.
How could they cancel a cashier's check?
I didn't know that was possible either.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Paula Kahneman claims ex-boyfriend Andrew Rhodes owes for rent, a loan to get his car fixed, and money owed on a botched car sale.
Okay, Mr. Rhodes, what happened?
Okay, put the car on eBay.
Don't go back to the year of the flood, sir.
No.
What happened with the $1,200?
The $1,200 was going to be my money, and she offered to go ahead and pull it out because I found a car that I wanted to buy, and it was an $800 car. She offered to go ahead and put it out there so I could purchase the car, have transportation to get to and from work.
So what happened?
For some reason, the eBay check got canceled for some odd reason. I have no idea why.
I understand that, but she got stuck with $1,200. Why didn't you give her back the $1,200 when you sold the car?
The car was already sold.
What do you mean the car was already sold?
The car was sold.
Am I not following you, sir? You sold the car. Let's say you sold the car on August 1st. She cashed the check for you by putting the money in her bank and giving you $1,200 to buy a new car, figuring that the rest of the money would be hers for whatever expenses and money that you allegedly owed her. She gave you $1,200.
Never once asked for it, though.
Just listen to me. She gave you the $1,200. Then the check bounced. On September 1st, you sold the car to somebody else.
Sold to the same buyer.
And he gave you another check.
No, they sent that directly to the bank that had the lien.
For how much was the lien?
$3,800.
Well, if it was $3,800, you had enough money to pay her back the $1,200.
I also had to purchase this car at the same
time. Who cares?
I never once asked for it. She offered it out. I took it.
Mr. Rhodes, listen to me. Why an intelligent, lovely-looking woman like you would choose somebody like him to father a child?
Looks can be
I have
deceiving.
absolutely no idea. I know looks could be deceiving. You know, if you're picking DNA, at least pick DNA that's reasonable. You know, you want a baby, that's a nice thing. You know, you'd be better off at a sperm bank. You owe her $2,724. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She's a little bit off the rocker a tad bit, and we just didn't get along.
He's the father of my child, and it's too bad that he's a tax evader and a deadbeat dad and won't take care of his son.
Going to do the best we can to raise this kid together.
Hopefully he'll become a father and quit being a deadbeat dad.
Won't let me see him, you know, when I want to see him.
He says that because he's not paying child support, and it's the only thing he has against me, and he tries to use that, but it's a complete lie.
She held months, and that's the bottom line.
He knows that he could have picked.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Leonard versus Calvert. Step forward, please.
Carol Leonard is suing her ex-fiancé, Brian Calvert, for wrecking a four-wheel ATV when he drove it drunk. Brian claims the bike had a malfunction.
Miss Leonard, you and Mr. Calvert were in a relationship. You met at work, according to your complaint. Shortly after you met, Mr. Calvert wanted to buy a four-wheeler. And according to you, he got drunk?
Yes, he did.
He took out the four-wheeler.
Mm-hmm.
He wrecked it.
Correct.
And since it was purchased on your credit, you're stuck with it.
Correct.
Mr. Calvert has an interesting defense. First, he says that you bought it for him.
No.
He merely helped to make the payments on it because he was a nice guy. And if I don't believe that story, then it's really your fault that he wrecked the bike, because the bike had a recall notice that was in your mail that you didn't tell him about. And since he almost got killed, it was your fault that he's got $8,000 worth of medical bills, because if you had told him about the recall notice, he would have taken the bike in to have it checked. That's his defense. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Miss Leonard, when did you and Mr. Calvert start to have a relationship?
The beginning of August 2005.
And when did you buy these wheelers?
August 19th.
Of 2005?
Yes.
Well, tell me about the conversation that you had. You knew him for a couple of weeks.
Well, I had a business relationship with him before that. And then I did start dating him. And he said he wanted to buy the four-wheeler. We call them bikes. But his log home hadn't sold yet. It was going to sell in September. And he said if I bought it, he would have it for my birthday. My birthday's August 31st. And then he would pay me for it when his log home sold.
What do you mean he would have it for your birthday? So he was giving it to you as a birthday present?
No, we were going to go. They're actually a lot of fun to ride in West Virginia. And we were going to go on a big ride for my birthday.
When did you and Mr. Calvert separate?
Shortly after this accident, the beginning of May.
Okay. Now, how many payments did he make on the bike?
Probably about 3.
And what happened?
He did not keep making them, and it strained our relationship. And the problem really with Brian and with this whole incident is that he has a serious alcohol problem. And alcohol basically has ruined his life, because we had a good relationship when we were together. He didn't drink, but when he does drink, it's a nightmare. He either goes to jail or he goes to the hospital. One or the other. And that's what happened with this. As a matter of fact, he has 4 DUIs. 1 was on a four-wheeler.
You still didn't tell me what happened when he stopped making the payments. If he
Nothing.
made 3
I made
payments.
the payments.
The accident was in May of 2006?
April.
April. Did you start drinking in April, Mr. Calvert?
I had a couple of drinks that night, ma'am.
Why?
Just the rest of us was drinking.
But you know you have a drinking problem.
I had a drinking problem, ma'am.
No, you have a drinking problem. You're always an alcoholic if you have a drinking problem.
Yes, ma'am.
You may be a recovering alcoholic, but you're always an alcoholic.
Yes, ma'am.
So what caused you to drink?
We was just having a couple of beers, ma'am.
But you hadn't been drinking for a long time.
Yes, ma'am.
And after you started to drink, you got on the four-wheeler?
We was on the four-wheeler before we started to drink. I mean, we had the alcohol with us.
You ended up in the hospital?
Yes, ma'am.
How seriously injured were you?
$8,000 worth of hospital bills.
Now, Miss Leonard, did you ever notice on these bikes?
The one that he was talking about with the throttle sticking, that was fixed before I ever bought the bike. And I have that statement right there.
Can I see it, please?
Right here is the claims history that the throttle was fixed prior to my purchasing it.
Have you seen this, sir? That the throttle that you complain about was fixed? And the repair was done August 19th of 05, when it had 2 miles on it.
On that bike, it wasn't, we bought the bikes before that. I mean,
No, sir, I don't care when you bought the bikes. Just listen to me. This indicates that on the VIN number of your bike, that throttle problem was repaired, looks like before it was purchased. The repair was done on the 19th of August, which is the date that it was purchased. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You want to look at this?
No, ma'am.
So the throttle didn't freeze, sir. Your brain froze. So that takes care of the second defense that you had. The throttle was fixed at the point of purchase. So if there was a recall notice generally sent out to everybody who had this bike, yours had already been fixed. So let's not deal with that piece. Let's deal with the fact that it was bought for you. You want to tell me that story?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm listening.
Her son wanted a different bike at the time, and she said, no, we're buying this bike because, I mean, that's the bike that she said, you know, I preferred to get. So that's the bike she got.
For her son?
No, it was too big for her son.
Just a second. I'm not following you, sir. I mean, if you're trying to confuse me, you're doing a very, very good job, and I'm not easy to confuse.
The bike was bought for me, ma'am.
You mean as a gift?
Yes, ma'am.
Then why did you make payments on it?
I helped her out when she needed help when making the payments on it.
Well, explain that to me, sir. Explain to me how it came about that you helped her out.
Numerous of times she asked me to make the bike payment.
Tell me about it. When was the first time she asked you to make a bike payment?
I don't have the dates with me.
Well, where are you supposed to get them from?
I gave her cash money, ma'am.
You think I believe you? Why in the world, sir, if she was involved with you 2 weeks, would she spend $7,000 on you? Why?
Ma'am, we lived together at the time.
No, that's not true.
Not August 19th, sir. You did not.
If she only knew me 2 weeks, she's not going to go out here and spend $7,000.
I didn't say she was involved with you for 2 weeks. She knew you from work, but she was involved with you for 2 weeks. Why in the world would she spend $7,000 for you? Now, at the time that these bikes were purchased, did you have a log home?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you in the process of selling the log home?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you tell her that you would give her back this money when you sold the log home?
No, ma'am.
When did you sell the log home?
End of August.
End of August. So if she said to me that you were planning on selling the log home, which she put in her complaint, and you were going to get the money when you sold the log home, that has a ring of truth to it. Wouldn't you say that, Mr. Calvert?
She's the one that sold the log home. She's a real estate.
You mean she sold the home and she got the money?
She sold the home, ma'am.
I'm asking you, she sold the home and she got the money, or she sold the home through her business and you got the money?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, what?
Yes, I got the money.
And what did you do with the money when you got it?
Put it back into more homes, ma'am.
You purchased more homes?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a discussion with Miss Leonard about purchasing more homes after she sold that home for you?
No, ma'am.
Did he?
Yes, he talked to me about building more homes.
What did he say about the payments on the bike?
He said to me, he said, I want to just make payments on it until I get another log home, and then when he sold that, then he would pay me for the bike. He was kind of dragging it out.
Can I ask you a question, Miss Leonard?
Yes.
Was he as animated when you were living as a couple as he is today?
He's actually a very talented and sensitive person. His problem is his drinking.
You could never tell by me. What's it going to cost to get this thing fixed?
I have $5,800.
May I see it, please? How much is left to pay off on the bike?
$6,550.
And you have no insurance?
I have no insurance.
Why?
This is good for anyone else who purchases a four-wheeler. Your homeowner's insurance does not cover those, and when I purchased the bike, they told me my homeowners would cover it.
No, you need individual insurance for these things. All right, Mr. Calvert, you know the two defenses we were talking about when we first started this case? I don't believe either one of them. Just for the plaintiff for the amount of $5,000. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
After a case of beer in 2 hours, you're going to have an accident.
Bangs to the head,
He drinks one beer right after another until a disaster happens.
leg. I still have problems with my other leg.
But he doesn't want to admit that was what caused it.
It wasn't the drinking that was causing the accident.
You have to be...
All parties in the matter of Solara versus Lara, step forward, please.
27-year-old Angela Salura is suing her ex-boyfriend, 24-year-old Freddie Lara, for a loan to restore his Mustang. Freddie claims Angela paid the bill without consulting him.
Mr. Lara, it is your claim that the defendant, who is an old boyfriend of yours, owes you some money.
Correct.
For a loan that you made to him. The purpose of the loan was to have an old car fixed.
Yes.
This was a specialty car?
It's just, it's going to be a classic soon. It's just a car I always wanted
Me
to fix
too.
up.
What kind of work do you do, Mr. Lara?
I clean windows on high rises.
That's a pretty dangerous job.
Yeah,
How long have you been doing that?
like 7, 8 years now.
Make a good living?
Yeah, except when they lay you off.
Well, you don't do it when it's windy or snowing or raining.
Right.
How much do you make a year?
Anywhere from 48 to 68,000 a year.
And how many people do you support?
Just myself.
What kind of car is this that you have?
It's a 1986 Ford Mustang GT.
And your age, sir?
24 now.
Got a lot of money in the bank?
No, unfortunately.
Do you own a home?
No, I'm working on it. I'm renting an apartment for now.
Well, you make a lot of money. What do you do with all your money?
It's expensive to live in New York.
You don't put any money away?
No, I try. Not really.
You need a good woman, sir, to help you out. You also have a claim for harassment. It is your claim that he's been making harassing phone calls to you, and it's because you believe it's because you confronted his now girlfriend and told her that he was still involved with you.
She did not know about the payments. She never knew. He began dating her a week after we broke up, and she just found out about our involvement beginning of January of this year.
How did she find out?
She found a text message in his phone.
Is that right, sir?
Yes, sir, because she was harassing.
She was harassing for what?
Yeah, she was mad about the breakup, so she couldn't
mad
leave
about
me
the
alone.
breakup, or did she ask you for money?
She was harassing me about everything.
Was money involved?
Yes.
These are not hard questions, sir. Now, tell me about this loan.
We were dating for about a year, and within that time, he needed some major repair work done on the car. It was worth using for transportation, or rather him. I don't drive. I don't have a license.
So he was driving you around?
Yes. I used to live with him, and where we live, you cannot get around unless you have a car.
How long did you live together?
About 9 months.
Where were you living at the time? In your apartment?
Staying with my mom at the time.
So how were you living together? Where did you live together?
In his bedroom.
In his mother's house?
In his mother's house.
Just a second. In his mother's house. So neither one of you were paying any rent?
I did. I tried to give them money as much as I could.
Don't tell me tried. I'm not interested in your trying. So you weren't paying any rent? And you weren't paying any rent?
We were, when we could.
Well, sir, if you make $50,000 a year, it seems to me you could help out with your own rent. What does your mother do for a living?
She's a stay-at-home mom.
Well, how does she support herself?
Her boyfriend.
And she had the two of you living there?
Yes, correct.
Tell me about the loan.
He needed some major repair work done on the car. The car was not running, and he asked if he could use my credit card because I don't have any money except for my credit card, and he told me he would pay me back. So I lent him the credit card, and within that time, he was making payments to me weekly.
To you or to the credit card?
He was giving them to me, and I was paying the credit card because the credit card was in my name.
How much was he giving you?
Anywhere from $100 to $200 a week.
Tell me when you actually put the bill on your credit card. What was the date?
Between June and July, 7 transactions were put on the credit card in the amount of about $5,000.
I'd like to see it.
Sure.
Who had physical possession of the credit card?
I did.
So how would this money be placed on the credit card?
A few times I went with him to use the credit card, and there were a few times where I just gave him the card. And I never used the credit card, Your Honor, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 times. It was all of the car repairs.
Who has the car now?
It's his car. He has it.
When did you break up?
August 26th of 2006.
So shortly after the car was taken
Yes.
care of. Now, Mr. Lara, I read your answer. Your answer says that you had made an arrangement with the place that was fixing your car, that you were going to pay them out.
Yes.
And she took it upon herself to go in with a credit card and pay the bill. But that's not true, because there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different times that the credit card was used. It was more than one time, so you must have known about it.
Yes, I did.
And did you say, don't do it because I'm going to pay them
Absolutely.
out?
I insisted that she didn't do it.
Each time you said, don't do it because I'm going to pay them out.
She said it's something we both need, so...
I believe that. No, I believe that. Listen to me, Mr. Lara. I believe that she said to you, listen, I use the car, because she did use the car. So she said, we're both using the car, so I'm going to pay for it. Instead of paying them, pay me. And she says that you were giving her money, Mr. Lara.
Yeah, I felt bad. I didn't want her to spend so much for
Now,
a gift.
you felt bad when you were living together?
Yes.
Speak up!
Yes.
Scared to death of me or what? Are you always this low energy, sir?
Yes.
It's very hard to get excited with you, Mr. Lara. Mr. Lara, I want you to pay careful attention to all my words, sir. While you were living together, you felt badly about what she spent on the car, on your car, so you were giving her money.
Yes.
After you broke up, you stopped feeling badly, so you stopped giving her money. Is that what you're telling me?
She kept on harassing.
No, don't tell me her. I don't want to hear harassing. I want to hear while you were living together and using the car together. Listen, I want you to follow the logic of this. You were paying her while you were together and using the car together, right?
Yes.
After you broke up with her and started to see your new girlfriend and she wasn't using the car anymore with you, you didn't feel badly anymore, so you stopped giving her money.
Well, I didn't want it to interfere with my relationship. She kept harassing me because things with her, who she was trying to get with, wasn't going well because of the breakup.
I don't give a rat's behind what you think. I asked you a very simple question, and you understand my question because I don't think there's total vacancy between your ears, sir. While you were together and both using it, you paid her for laying out the money. When you were no longer together and she wasn't using the car, you stopped paying her. That's what you're telling me. That's objective, not what you thought, what you felt. That's what happened. Doesn't that sound stupid to you?
No, because it was a gift.
Mr. Lara, I know that you have this word gift in your mind, but what you did in paying her belies the fact that it was a gift, sir. You paid her for the credit card. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars, according to her, because she's only suing you for what she claims is the balance, which is $3,400. And the total was close to $5,000 to fix the car. So you paid her a lot of money to pay down the credit card. Do you understand, sir?
Yes.
Listen, was he more exciting when you were together?
He had his moments.
Few and far between.
He has a problem with confrontation, Your Honor.
There's a problem with confrontation?
Yes.
Oh, and I love confrontation. That's why we don't get along. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,400. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may step out.
Changed my number. Somehow she called my mom and got my new number.
He is correct. I was able to get his new phone number.
She kept on calling me and leaving me text messages.
It was to get my money back. That was it.
We split up, and she doesn't find it was a good enough reason for a breakup.
That was in August. I've had time to get over it.
I'm glad it's over.
I'm very happy I can put a closure on this now.